Good morning and welcome once again to Daybreak Africa from our studio in Ondo State, the Sunshine State of the Nation. It's a beautiful morning. My name is Ikhonede Joshua Adegbeyeni.
And hi, I'm Afolashayo Hamzat. Welcome on the show today.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome on the show. I'm fine today, no worries. There's no problem about that.
Wait, Joshua, you didn't even allow me to ask.
Welcome back to the show. It's time to discuss on Daybreak Africa. I hope you enjoyed the reports we actually showed you. Now, talking about our discussion today, one of the things I would just like us to see is the fact that, yes, we are checking the news. We are seeing a lot of insecurity stories on the news, actually, talking about the fact that, Nigeria is experiencing a very turbulent times when we talk about the security aspects. But this week, I was made to look into some issues that we are not even looking at, actually. And honestly, it's very worrisome because many people have been talking about the whole thing that has to do with the fact that we need to do something in the aspect of security to ensure that we can secure ourselves as a country. But the truth is, on the books, we have been doing a whole lot of things. We've been doing a whole lot of things. Nigeria's security budget has been experiencing significant increases over the years, but the desired impact actually on security remains elusive. And let me just show you some facts to prove this. In 2016, Nigeria spent 443.1 billion naira on security. That's a part of our budget. In 2020, we spent 900 billion. In 2021, we spent 772.60 billion. In 2022, Nigeria spent 1.2 trillion. In 2023, Nigeria spent 1.248 trillion. In 2024, actually, Nigeria spent 1.647 trillion naira, actually. And this year, security actually is taking the fulcrum of our budget again. And at the end of the day, despite all these spendings, we are seeing little or no results actually in the aspect of security. Now, this is with due respect to everyone in the military or in the police force that are trying to put an end to the security challenges that we are experiencing in the country and the sacrifices they are making. But then, this shows that something needs to be done urgently. Discussing with us today on Daybreak Africa over this topical issue on Nigeria's budget, on security, and impact it has had so far is Adegbeyeni Abiodun, who happens to be a political analyst as well as a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you in the studio.
So and I'm thankful you're not wearing glasses, so I have something like I look like for today. So let the four eyes be
now
there.
I'm in the middle.
And then, but actually, what we are discussing today seems a bit worrisome because I remember yesterday on Daybreak Africa while we were discussing, one of the things our guest was talking about was, okay, I read out the one of the defense. I didn't even read the police budget. If I begin to read the police budget, maybe I should start reading that too as well. But the truth is, it's becoming worrisome. We are complaining about the fact that there is strong insecurity in the nation, but we are not looking about the issue that the country has been spending heavily on security and still the results doesn't seem forthcoming. What's your take on this particular phenomenon happening in the country in these present times, despite the money we spend to secure the country?
Well, thank you very much. Like I already mentioned, the amount we have been spending on insecurity from 2015. When it comes to issue of security, from the year you mentioned, I believe our political leaders, they see the issue of budget when it comes to that particular sector as a conduit pipe. You know, the thing is, the issue of security is an issue that needs urgent intervention. But I've come to understand that it's a deliberate action on the part of the leaders. I see it in this manner that they know what to do to put an end to insecurity, but they are deliberately not doing it.
But why?
Now, the thing is this, it's because of the greediness, the selfishness. For example, let me use this analogy. Now, we want to award a road contract. The government wants to award a road contract, for example, which normally should take maybe 10 billion to do or to construct. And the contractor, after presenting his quotation, okay, the government says, okay, we are going to award 25 billion. You understand? Okay, out of that 25 billion, you are giving us kickback of 15 billion. All right? And the contractor, after collecting the 10 billion, there are some people that government functionary that will say, come, okay, give us our own share of the national cake. At the end of the day, a standard road that should be constructed using 10 billion, the contractor might end up using 500 million. So where do you intend to see a standard road? That's why after barely a year, you will see the...
That seems too long, sir. Even 3 months.
So what am I trying to say? the issue of security. Now, the whole of the budget, the proposal was premised on the budget of restoration, all right, securing peace, and then the third one says rebuilding prosperity. Now, when we have a country where the peace is not prioritized by its leaders, you know, we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. So I see it as a conduit pipe, because they said the reason why there's an increase in the budget allocation is for, you know, security apparatus to be strengthened. All right, but then the reverse is the case. It seems the more we spend on security, the more insecure we are. That is just it. So if I'm not mistaken, the budget of, you know, security budgets in the 2025 budget consists about 10% of the budget, over 6 trillion. Now they say almost over 4 trillion for personnel cost, about over 1 trillion for what's it called? Is it overhead cost?
Overhead cost, yeah. You see some capital expenditure and
capital expenditure about 640 something billion. So where are the reflections of this we are talking about? Now it may interest you to know that maybe 2 days ago or just yesterday, there's a military formation in Borno where the military men has been dislodged, and all their arms and ammunitions were, you know, taken by Boko Haram. So what are we talking about? We spend humongous amounts on security every passing year, but yet there's nothing to show for it. So that means we need to hold some people accountable. We need to start asking questions. Where are this money going to? That's the question we need to ask.
Okay, now what you're saying, I'm sorry to cut you short. That is where I'm going to come in, where it comes to transparency and accountability. You said we need to ask. Who are the people who are supposed to do the asking?
Thank you very much. You know, all right. You know, sometimes I've always said it here that our leaders, they travel abroad. They know how things are being done.
Yeah.
How leaders are held accountable there. There is a ministry. Is it a ministry now in the US? They call it the DOGE.
Yeah,
Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah.
So
Elon Musk.
What is the What is the function of this you know, department? Is to monitor, you know, government spending, how efficient government functionaries are. So for example, we are allocating this particular money for this particular purpose. Is the money judicially spent? There's something in Nigeria we call tracker. All right.
Yeah.
You discover that some of our rep members, when they give them constituency allowance, they will tell you that a 5 blocks of classroom was built for 10 billion. This is the accountability we are talking about. How you know, we need to start asking questions. Now, the point is, the reason why they are so subsumed in this infantry against the masses is because they believe they can just do anything and go away with it. Now, this is what I'm saying. They believe when election comes, even the institution that should maintain moral sanctity, all of them have been compromised. Now you know that if you do anything, even though you don't do it, even though you don't do anything at all, you embezzle money the way you want. If you contest election, you are still going to enter, because your re-election is not premised on the vote of the people, because institutions have been compromised. So the thing is, we have to stand up. Enough of complaint. Now, how many of us are speaking up against silence? Sometimes means consent.
Yeah, true.
So the reason why these people are taking us for a ride is because Nigeria are not speaking. One of my lecturers said, if you push Nigerians to the wall, they would prefer breaking the wall instead of them turning to face their tormentor. So that's the problem we are facing now.
But now let's bring it down to NSAS.
Okay.
When everyone felt we've been silent enough, we all want to come out, we want to talk. We all knew how it all ended. Now you still say we all are supposed to speak up, we don't have to be silent again. Don't you think the fear of what happened then probably might be one of the things that is still making people shut up?
Well, the fear, somebody once said that the fear of failure guarantees failure. All right. I know one thing that will bring lasting solution to this country is revolution, and NSAS is just a bit of it.
Are we really ready for a revolution in Nigeria?
Wait, the greatest mistake the youth made was to leave that scene of NSAS.
But Okay.
You know, you something like that.
Okay.
You cannot see something like that happen without people ready to pay the ultimate price. All right.
Which is to lay down their lives.
That is just how many are these politicians? They are less than 5,000, tormenting over 200 million people. So if you put them where they belong, we must expect. Now the point is, how many people are they going to kill? They are going to kill 1,000. Now there are some people who will be watching me that won't like this. We have seen people who have paid the ultimate price to see that this country thrive. That's why you see one of the line of the national anthem said, "The labor of our heroes past shall not be in vain." Are they not in vain? If we don't stand up and do not, the coming generation will ask us, they will tell us to our face that we are irresponsible because we did not do what we ought to do.
I think I want to put it to you. During NSAS, were you out?
Of course. There are some things you don't say on the national television. All right. You know, I apart from coming out, I use my platform. You know, NSA started with war against police brutality.
Yes.
Now, has anything changed now? What has changed? The point is, we have to hold for. Look at what happened. What's the name of this country where this is it Rwanda now? What's the name of this president? Where the youth came out en masse that they said what's it called? Their tax reform or
Kenya.
Yes, Kenya. They stood their ground until the president reversed that decision, put it on hold. Now, our leaders in Nigeria, they bank on our collective docility. That's what I will say. But the prayer we pray instead of standing up for our right is that it will favor me and my family. What happens to having a country that favors all? That favors all, where we are going to enjoy our relative peace, where you can sleep with your two eyes closed, where you can travel. I was watching an interview conducted. I was hearing a non-Nigerian. A man was speaking. He said in the 1950s, 1960 or so, he said he traveled by using scooters from the south, from the southwest to the east. Now,
on a scooter?
Yes. Can we
You
say
can't try that now. Even with a bus. You might get there.
We might, under probability.
We cannot do that. Now, the leaders of Nigeria, they are only proactive when insecurity affects them
And not
the populace.
You know, one of the things I wanted to ask majorly was because though I was on the ground for the NSAS, I remember I have a lot of pictures and all that, and to read that, I understand the fact that yes, protest and all that, but it got to a point from my own perspective, I began to see that this thing we are heading nowhere, because at the end of the day, I felt we had the youth had the energy, they never had the constructive. So a time came, someone began to ask conversations that can there be another route towards this, because at the end of the day, because me, I'm this kind of person, not fear or anything. I believe if you want to fight for something, you don't fight before you win before you fight. Though that's another thing. So back to the drawing book, because honestly, let's be sincere, this is not the first time people are coming out in Nigeria to fight for things. We are unionists too, so we know all these things. The truth is, the thing was not, though SARS was cancelled, but there were no leaders from the sector to negotiate all that and everything. So the kind of negotiations that should have yielded even better results were not made. And I discovered that one truth was, even with the youth did not trust each other to lead such kind of thing. But then looking at it now, as we are looking at insecurity, you were talking about the Nigerian that was talking about the fact that even use the scooter to travel to the east. Today you can't do that. It's a sincere truth. Because even when you are going with people at the same time, you won't get there. That's just the harsh truth. You will get there maybe. That's another probability, but you might pay some ransom on the road. But what is the thing? Now, this security issue, while I was doing the research, someone made a statement and said, could it be that many of these things we call insecurities are just creations of somebody, so that more money will be pumped into this place and more money can be gotten to their pockets? Now, we talked about the fact that we need interventions, but are you not looking at the part of genuine interventions? Don't you think, from your own, I'm just asking, don't you think many of these things are just cooked up? They know each other and they are gaining from it together, because that's where most of the budget right now is going to.
Well, thank you very much. You talked about NSAS, that when you went out that time, that it got to a point you knew that you were not heading anywhere. So the point is, one of the reasons why the NSAS was not successful was because the government's way of weaponizing poverty. You know, they used youth alike to infiltrate NSAS. All right, this is what we are talking about. Now, you talked about this is not the first time people are. I mean, that was not the first time people came out. Let's talk about Occupy Nigeria. Did Occupy Nigeria yielded fruit or it didn't?
It yielded strong fruit.
Oh, of course.
There are political figures involved.
Now, the question I want to ask: where are those who occupied Nigeria then?
They are in government today.
Why have they gone back to their cocoon?
They are in government actually.
So what they campaign against, then they are doing it. So that means they have been bought. Now, but there are some of us who cannot be bought. We are more than them. The point is the power of the people will always be greater than the people in power. I insist. Now, concerning what you said, you know, the last time I came here, I made mention of it, that this issue of security or insecurity, so to say, people use it as a conduit pipe. All right. Now, we don't politicize everything. Where we have to, you know, exercise caution, especially when it comes to humanity. Bayo Nanuga said it explicitly to the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, that Babagana Zulum was facing shadows when Zulum said Boko Haram has once again overpowered the military formation
within the state.
Within the states. Then I cited an example that when the Chibok girls, for example, were kidnapped, how did they get there? Who made the order for the military men to be withdrawn from the checkpoints? That's the question. That should you don't need any prophet to tell you that there's a conspiracy. I don't want to mention him. There is somebody who is occupying one of the highest offices in Nigeria today. What's it called? He harbored Boko Haram members. There is another man who happened to be a senator who said the sponsor of this Boko Haram attack, he made mention of their names. But the point is, we reward criminals in Nigeria. But those who are known to be the frontliners for Boko Haram, they are in power today. How do you expect insecurity to be solved?
But do we put all this blame on just government alone? What about our security officials themselves?
Who are the ones really receiving the money?
Let's take, for example, during the time of what happened in Howo. I was like, is it possible that these people came in and left without the knowledge of our security agencies? What do you have to say when it comes to, is it police, is it soldiers and all? What do you have to say concerning them? Is it that we are not going to apportion any blame on them?
Thank you very much. I cannot really say we should apportion blame on the security agency. You ask me why. Reason being that they are answerable to some people. They are the beck and call. For example, if you are the DPO of a police formation and I receive a call that is issue of violence perpetrated, maybe kidnapping or armed robbery, and I say, my boss, okay, we just received a call that they need an intervention at a particular place. Now, as a boss, you now tell me, don't go there. I don't know, maybe you understand me.
Yeah.
Do not go there. Perhaps it may interest you to know that we are in this country together. That, you know, the issue of, okay, let me say, the last time I came here, I said something. And one of the things I said was this, that we have one of, you know, the best policemen, military in Nigeria. If they are left to work, they can actually work. They have the wherewithal. But when they are not, I mean, it's just like a prisoner. You know, when a prisoner is in prison, you are within a confine. Yeah, you don't have freedom of movement. Yes. So you walk by order, whatever you want to do. As a matter of fact, if you want to go beyond your boundary, maybe you want to jump the fence, they can gun you down. This is the situation some of our security agencies find themselves in.
They are led by...
Yes, there was a particular man, I've forgotten his name now. He came out, the full glare of the camera, that the intelligence agency, they are not supplying them intelligence. So they were the one giving them intelligence, supply us with the necessary thing we need. For example, imagine releasing fund. You know what happened during the Jonathan era, where the National Security Advisor, the money that was meant for
that's okay.
Everybody was just collecting his
journalist too, but it's not
a lot of people. Look at what happened. Now, we didn't know that something like that occurred until
Some of them even came out to say they thought they were sharing gifts and they didn't know it was for security.
Until the news broke out, now you endanger the lives of the security agents. Actually, nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. If you're asking me to go and confront a criminal that has arms or gun that is powerful than my own. For example, I'm carrying pump passion and somebody is carrying AK-49. What do you expect? What do you expect? That's why That's why you see, to save their own life. That's why you see some of our security agents giving excuses. Okay, we don't have a fuel in the vehicle. We don't have this. We don't have that. They'll be telling you. Some of them will even say, "I can't tell what you are saying. Where is the address? Where is that?" Whereas,
they know the address actually.
But then they don't want to just interfere. That's it. So we cannot really blame them. Now the thing is, we have a gang of armed robbers in Lagos. In fact, one of them was a Nollywood of the Eastern extraction. They used to terrorize. Is it Ikorodu Axis?
Yeah.
Yes. Now the policemen, they laid ambush after they have received intelligence. As in, if you see the way the operation was successful, they gunned every one of them down. Even though some of them escaped with bullet injuries. So our security agency can be proactive if they receive the necessary
tools and everything.
That's the question. We are in this country that a policeman will arrest a son of a politician, that this one is involved in a criminal activity and other will be, thank you. This is what we are talking about. So can we really blame security agencies?
Some of them went to prison and we never knew they were in an apartment.
That is just it.
Prison actually.
That is just it. There was this young man that stood before the convoy of one of the presidential.
Yeah, Peter Obi.
He was in prison. That young boy was in prison. Nobody knew. He was charged with just a frivolous allegation that some Egma Adubu, handed him over to policemen and they framed him up that he was part of. And the police failed to do their
necessary investigations.
Yes, necessary investigation. Look at, imagine, had it been one lady who happened to be a woman writer, had it been, okay, it was through our intervention that Nigerians were able to know that this young man was in prison. If you see the torture he was subjected to. So these are the things we are talking about. No smoke without fire. Whatever happens, when it comes to insecurity in our nation, when you trace it, there's something behind it. That's just it. If Nigerian government wants insecurity to end today, it will end. It will end. That's why I vehemently frown at the issue of de-radicalization. They are speaking English. The thing is, you understand? So that means if Boko Haram members can be de-radicalized, that means armed robbers too should be de-radicalized. We are not supporting criminality now.
But at least what is good for the goose was.
Yes, that means we have one country, two systems. Two systems. So that's why you see, in the name of de-radicalization, after these people, after spending some time, they will still have to go back. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't negotiate with terrorists. Nigeria is a country where we see that we will negotiate with terrorists. Okay, what do you want to take? Security agents will be doing meetings with Boko Haram members, carrying guns. In a sane climb, such a thing will not happen.
Well, we'll look deeper into that actually, but first let's go for Gold Start, and I'm very sure that after Gold Start we would have elaborated a bit more on this, but when we come back we'll begin to look for vital solutions and some other aspects that we will need to work on as a country. Like you said, you can only give advice. The government are the ones that are going to do the right thing at the right time. But then let's enjoy Gold Start. After Gold Start we'll come back to our discussion, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. That was Gold Start. If you've been procrastinating, enough is enough. Go start that business today. If you're just tuning in, this is KAFTAN Television and this is Daybreak Africa, talking about security and insecurity in Nigeria and how much has always been allocated as regards that. The thing I want to ask now is, I saw someone's comment and the person was saying every year it's as if the amount allocated for security in Nigeria keeps increasing year by year, and the person was like, as far as the allocation is increasing when it comes to security and insecurity, and nothing, or let me say little thing, is being done about insecurity in Nigeria, like probably the money allocated to insecurity should go to another sector. So far we all know, even though the whole budget is for security, nothing is still going to change. Probably go to health, go to education and all. What is your take on this? Do you feel it should be reduced or probably increased, or what do you think should be done?
No, what I feel should be done is that I'm not advocating for it to be reduced, but if you are increasing money, if the issue of security is taking the chunk
of our budget,
there should be a commensurate value. That's what we are talking about.
But now that we are not seeing, or let me say, we are only seeing just little of the effort.
That's why I said it is deliberate. Like you rightly mentioned, we can only offer advice, all right? But when these people grab power, they feel they can just do and undo, all right? I said it's that one of the ways, I mean the major way, or the major and only way to rescue this nation is revolution. Revolution through dismantling of the constitution we are having. Let us practice true federalism. If we are practicing federalism, true federalism, whereby the life and citizens of the people, all right, will be premium, will be prioritized. Because if a country is not enjoying relative security, what are we now doing? Now the reason why I said this, I mean, government officials, political leaders are complicit in this. You see them every year in, year out, buying bulletproof cars. Why? To secure themselves. Where an average Nigeria is vulnerable. All right? So, it is good. Now, when I saw the money allocated for security this year, to some extent, I felt a sigh of relief that at least, the security of this nation will be maximized. But then, I was wrong.
The budget has not been totally approved though, and they are still working on some. I don't even know why it's still taking this long.
What are they working on? Now, initially, the whole budget was about 49.7 trillion. 47.9 actually, but now it's 51. Now, is it 51 or 54 point
54,
something?
Yeah, 54. Yeah.
Now, now it was laughable when I read that the reason for increments in the budget was because FIRS and the what's it called, immigration or customs they made more
money,
more money. I don't think that should be where we have debt to pay, we are servicing debts, and you are increasing budgetary allocation.
Debt service at 13 trillion actually.
What if they didn't have such revenue? We still go by with what we have. That's a 40 something trillion.
Yeah.
So now, how can you increase budgets with nothing to show for it? These people are taking us for a ride. That is just it.
But let me ask a question actually. I'm sorry to cut you there. Because I was looking at something. Because I'm just relating on all our discussions so far. Now, it's not as if the government is not releasing the funds for the security of the team. But somewhere, somehow, it seems the money is not getting to where it's supposed to get to.
How do you know that? How do you know they are releasing the fund?
That's another thing entirely. But from what we've seen over the years, it's very obvious that once it's on the budget and all that, there's one way or the other a receipt is presented to show this money was taken out. But at the end product of it, sometimes they will tell us they bought a Tucano here, they bought a new, some they say they did it from within and all that. And I like one thing you said there. You were talking about the place of practicing true federalism, doing away with the constitution. I think our guest yesterday to said the same thing, that in fact he said something. He said we need to decentralize security. Now, and when he was talking about decentralizing, we know the northern governors and some other governors across quarters are talking about state policing. I just want to just ask your own view from this whole aspect. Do you think state policing will work fine in the Nigerian system of today?
Yes. Reason being that without state policing, they release a chunk of allocation as security vote to each governor
they still release it
36 states. Yes. But then what will happen when we decentralize this thing we are talking about, when we have state police, is that there will be more budgetary provision. So it will be, the onus will lie on the governor of a state. So if your state is not secure, you will be held accountable. A state of emergency will be declared. That's where federal power can come in. That is just it. So we cannot just, in fact, the last time I came, I think it was a Miracle that asked a question that do I see the need for more hands in security
aspect?
Yeah, of course, and I said yes. But the point, because how many policemen do we have now? They are even less than 400,000.
For a country of 200 million.
For a country of 200 million. And out of that 400,000, about 100,000 of them have been attached to elites, so to say. Even IGP now said they want to create a special unit for the protection of the elite. I told you the other time that Adegbeyeni was playing with her emotions. So now a special unit meant for the protection of the elites.
Just the 1%.
That is just it. That's what we're talking about. So state policing, I mean, from my own view, is going to be effective. So the governor will be saddled with the responsibility of protecting his people. Now, if you fail in that regard, you have no business doing in the office. That's just it. I understand the fact that the president cannot be everywhere.
Definitely.
All right, he cannot be everywhere. But as a governor, I cannot expect Ondo State governor to go and secure Lagos State citizens.
Definitely.
This is how effective it's going to be. So you manage your own states.
Yeah.
You prevent your state from infiltration from whatsoever.
Even down to your borders.
Down to your borders, everything. Now, you made mention of something the other time. Do you know now that Southern Kaduna now enjoy relative peace? What went wrong? What went wrong during the previous administration?
I don't want to talk about what went wrong. Let's not talk. They can pick me up right now.
So this is what we are talking about. This is what we are talking about. We have to be intentional and give it to the governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani. I think he's trying his best. People cannot say with massacre upon massacre in the last administration. It was an eyesore, gruesome murder of people
all through the time.
So what are we talking about?
Okay, someone was saying after we had our discussions yesterday, I was speaking with someone, and the person was telling, because I remember vividly one of the questions I asked on the show yesterday was, don't you think our leaders, or let me say the governors and everyone in power when it comes to each state, will want to use this state policing of a thing to their own favor? Based on the facts that, okay, you are under me, you are supposed to take what's it called from me. If I say go, you need to go. If I say come, you need to come. Then the person was now like, okay, when everything like that happens, knowing fully well that probably the person will call the head of that state as a hand in whatever it is going on in that state, particularly when it comes to security. Once it gets to the stage whereby you just hear tomorrow one governor will come out again and start saying, now we have state police, but then we still cannot overpower all these people coming in, we don't know where they are coming from, and all, and start giving different excuses.
Every governor,
because let's not forget we are in Nigeria.
True.
A governor of a state is the chief security officer.
Even now
that
that's what I'm talking about.
And they are collecting security.
You are now giving excuse that now we have state police and we cannot overpower these people despite the support you get from the central. That means you are incompetent. You are just displaying sheer mediocrity. You don't have business. You have no business doing anything in office. Just leave. Now you said they might, like Josh mentioned last time I came here, they can turn to emperor when it comes to this.
Yeah, because there is no.
But I said something.
I said something.
It is still it's a minor issue. All right. We cannot say that governors will turn themselves to emperor or make the policemen to be at their beck and call. Now that we should allow insecurity to be thriving in the land. The point is, I think about something now, that the only area where I think they can aggravate to themselves power is when it comes to opposition.
Yeah.
If opposition speak against, just level a frivolous charge against this person, go and pick him up. All right. I don't know that we can have a governor who would be delighted seeing his people being slaughtered like animal. The late governor of Ondo State, when the issue of our massacre happened, you saw how he was crying.
His home actually.
Yes, his home. Now, what later happened? We didn't even see the outcome of those who were arrested, those who perpetrated that heinous act.
There was a time
AGF, Attorney General of the Federation, Abaka Malami, he said that some of them have been arrested, but up to now
we don't know what's happening.
Yes. Now, if we are practicing state policing, I think there will be a law to that effect to empower governor, and then the governor to some extent might not need to seek approval for legalization of arm for any security outfit in support of the police they already have.
So far,
talking about
right.
Amotekun.
Yeah.
This and that. Amotekun, I think this security outfit, they can do much if they are supported. But imagine you are going to confront a Fulani marauder. You are carrying pump passion. That one is carrying AK-47. How did he lay hold of AK-47? That's the question. That's the question. So we have to be asking now. We have some people in the northern part of the country that are gun runners. They are just intermediary between the Nigerian army and the terrorists, supply arms and ammunition. How on earth do they get these things?
That's what I don't.
So there is porosity. Now, during the last administration, the immediate past president, thought that the way to tackle insecurity in this nation is by relieving what's it called, service chiefs of the opposition. I think more than 3 times. 3 times, yes, at least, where the service chief has been sacked. This
next and that. Person, same thing.
But then, in this administration, we are not sacking the service chief, but then we have seen little.
But do you think he should sack service chiefs? Do you think he needs to sack people right now?
Sir, when it comes to security, we must leave bigotry or tribalism out of it. The best should lead, or the best should be leading. One of the problems we have in Nigeria today is that we allow the worst of us to lead the best of us in every sector.
Because
that's why we have problems.
The worst fits the system so much that they can rise quick.
That's just it. We have seasoned economics, in Nigeria today that should have been better off being the president of Nigeria. But then, when you talk, some people will tell you, go and start from a local government chairman. Who are you? Just want to wake up a day and become.
Politics is different from companies, actually.
But you cannot take politics away from government.
That's just the thing.
You cannot take politics.
But I wanted to ask something, because before we went to that route, I was looking at something, because while we were talking, I was just remembering the fact that, okay, we have NSCDC, we have Joint Task Force, we have military, we have police, and the likes. Now we're having a Amotekun here. There were northern governors that recently wrote a letter to the Senate to try and look into the issue of state police. I remember that the last I checked, they have ISBA in the north. Though they've reduced ISBA to religious days. ISBA will never catch criminal. But if you drink alcohol, they will catch you. So that's just the truth about all things. Or maybe you fornicate, or maybe you commit adultery, ISBA will catch you. And even if you are a terrorist and you do those things, they will catch you. But when it comes to your criminal activities, they won't get you for it.
Or if a politician in the north is caught in the act, ISBA will look away.
They will look away.
Okay.
Who pays the piper will definitely pay the tune. But now, having all these architectures, having all these systems, these different bodies, and still having these multiple issues, coupled with the fact that even the governments that we call the CSOs without state police, they collect money. That they call it security votes too as well. So if you are collecting security votes, there is something expected of you as a governor to run in your state, which definitely we are not seeing anything. So shouldn't we begin to look at means to ensure we leave money aside first? Let's work structurally. Because I feel this issue is more structural than economics. Because this money is too much. The bodies we have are kind of much. Not the United States, I don't think they have as much security forces as Nigeria when it comes to the multiple organizations we call. Aside from the fact that, okay, each state has their police. We have LAPD, we have NYPD, and all that. But aside that, don't you think we need to just rejig those systems to, because someone like me, I ask myself, what's the usefulness of MSCDC when the military still has to come in to sort issues of insecurity in places like Plateau State, in places like Borno State, and we have police, we have MSCDC, we have Joint Task Force, and yet nothing is happening.
Yes, I agree with you that we have to look at it structurally, but then we cannot remove the money aspect from it. You talked about the governors receiving security votes. Now, a National Assembly member sponsored a bill to remove the immunity that a governor enjoys. All right, this is why I was angry when the bill did not see the light of the day.
It won't.
No, for example, if that immunity is removed, that means a citizen like me can sue the governor of my state. That what did you do with this security?
The president of South Korea recently was arrested as a president.
We don't have to wait till a governor leaves power before EFCC start coming after. And the moment you join the ruling party, your sins are forgiven. So this is what we are talking about. We have to, if we are building a structure, you get it, it is still subject to the intention of the government in power, if they actually want that structure to stand. Now let me make it explicit. For example, the citizen on their own part, now they said they want to, okay, this issue of insecurity, how they are killing our people, we don't want to, okay, we want to come together, okay, and we don't want it to be without the knowledge of security agency. We want to be protecting ourselves, and somebody, a governor, so to say, went against that idea that if you start protecting yourself, it's going to cause anarchy. You understand? So now, what could be more worse than you not being able to protect the people and telling them not to protect themselves? That's the question. These are part of the structure we are talking about. Now, in the bid to protect themselves and their people, when they see anything that is suspicious, they report to the security agency. That is where the synergy works. But when a situation whereby we have leaders who want to break this synergy, that is it. Now, a Fulani-ass man can attack you, but you cannot attack a Fulani-ass man. Look at the bias we are talking about. So how can we have a stable structure? They will tell you, they will kill you, and nothing will happen. That is just it. Imagine a senator telling you, I will tell you who I will let you know the kind of person I am. So everything is wrong from top to bottom. You get it? And if something is wrong with the head, definitely it's wrong with the whole body. You get it? Because that is just it. If we are going to be structurally, set or structurally established, it will come from the top.
Now let's bring it down to we, the citizens in Nigeria. Part of the question I asked yesterday, insecurity. Let me say, before the people we have at the top, before they will get affected, I think we are the ones who feels the heat the most. Now everything is like this, state police even aside. What do you think citizens should do? Is it that we all should start learning how to shoot, or we all start owning a gun, one gun per family, so we can, protect our home, protect our units? Part of what we talked about yesterday was protecting our units, protect our streets, protect our community and all. What do you think as a citizen we should do at this very point in time? Because I don't think anyone can sleep with their two eyes closed as Nigeria is concerned.
Well, now, the first thing, and
aside the fact of revolution, because I remember vividly you were talking about revolution.
One thing I know I think citizens should do first is to be informed. All right, to be informed. Now, there's every possibility that we have some people who are not even equipped with the right knowledge about what is happening in Nigeria presently. Then number two, when they are informed, you know what to do, because when the use of a thing is not known, they say abuse is inevitable. Now the information you get it, will only be useful if will only be vital if you make the best of it. Now this is what I'm talking about. When I came here the last time, Josh was mentioning something where we have the 1 million boys in Ikhonede. They said they wanted to do something. At the mention of 1 million boys, they believe that everybody should fidget, should be afraid. Careful. But then they stood their ground. I think that is the only way. Now, citizens should be if you see any suspicious movement
around you.
Because I believe if people come and attack you, they will first come and like a survey.
But let's not forget something rampant in Nigeria. You hear people say, even if they see strange movements, they'll be like, I won't be the one to go and tell. Because if I should tell, probably when I tell the police and these people come back, they'll tell them, who told you this? Oh, this is the person who gave us the information, and these people will not come back for you. That is what you hear a lot of people say.
But then if you see something, say something. The reason why you say you don't want to talk is because you don't want to die. You don't want them to come for you. But what if they eventually come and seek you?
No matter what, either way they come.
That is what we're talking about. So if you see something, say something. That is just it. We have to be informed, and then we cannot rule out the issue of protecting ourselves. We cannot rule it out. We cannot rule it out. That is it. If the people saddled with the responsibility of protecting us are not doing anything, then what do we have to do? We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. look at because of this, because of the issue of insecurity now, some people have been dislodged. How can we have IDP camps in a country, in your own country? You are your country, but you turn to a refugee in your own country because of insecurity. Families have been displaced. We have been hearing this story from maybe 10 years ago that the security, if you speak to an average ruling party member and they tell you the president is doing much on this security, you see that everything is fine. People are still being killed. Somebody will die overseas. The presidency will issue condolence statements
to the person.
But yet in your own country, you are not doing anything. So we have to be informed first, and then we have to gather. I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's gather ourselves. Let's walk up to security agents. Let's see what happens. Let's make our intention known to them. Okay, we are from this community. We are from this community, and because of what is happening, the incessant killings, we just feel, we are just seeing the need to stand up to the challenge. Let's protect ourselves. You get it? I think you are the one that make this. Somebody just can be singled out. It doesn't matter. Maybe I don't support the issue of legalizing that for every citizen.
I know the
problem will be enormous.
Any small breakfast now. It's all about on the street.
That is just it. That would be too expensive. Very.
No.
So that one, I'm against that. But then,
I
make mention of something. If an armed robber comes to rob you, what gives them the audacity is the weapon they are holding. All right, you cannot come and rob me with your bare hand. They say, "Where's your money?" And even though I don't have gun, as man to mouth, let us just
beat ourselves.
If you don't kill me, you will die. That is just it.
I am in my house. I would agree.
But then, what are you going to do when you are seeing gun? That's the question. What are you going to do? So that is it. But when those who are perpetrating it, when they know that these particular people, they are now informed, they just want to look at the time where Fulani Asmen, they invaded this town. Is it you remember the issue of a Sunday Igboho then? You knew what happened. He actually wanted to liberate his people there. In fact, he almost sacked all the Fulani Asmen that they should leave. But then he was haunted till he was arrested. Even he escaped to Benin Republic, where he was still in prison.
Yeah.
Why? Because somebody said enough.
It's enough.
It's enough. That is justice. But then there's a Yoruba proverbial saying, "Wọ́n ní agbára òjò olóhùn níléwó, onílé ni ò ní gbà fún." You get it?
That is to say, the heavy rain won't say that it won't destroy the house.
Yes,
but
yes.
the
torrential downpour. Yes,
but you that holds that house itself will decide.
I won't agree.
And determine that.
Now, what will you do not to agree? You make dredges, gutters, so that you
when the whole thing comes, it passes peacefully.
That is just it. You don't just fold your arms and say, "I no go agree, I no go agree."
They must know that I'm the owner of the
Yes, I'm the owner of this house.
Even the guys will say sometimes that Marco Jamiro Bala can show actually that is don't pass me by there. It's not a serious.
You have your eyes closed.
Let's just note this. Let's note this. If you are not determined to die as a hero, you will eventually die as a slave. Many Nigerians are afraid of death. That's why this thing keep happening.
Everybody should be ready to die.
We are only
that's true.
we will only die once.
well, that's true. Protecting your home.
Are we better off than those who are
dead?
That is just it. We are aware that some deaths could have been avoidable. Sure, you understand? So look at the lives that were lost during the NSAS. Are we just going to allow those people to die in vain? Every 20th of October, every year, we celebrate. After that, nothing. Nothing. It is better to die a hero. Because eventually, we enough of trying to cover the truth. Because one thing about the truth is longevity. If you like, don't say the truth. It will not change it from the truth. It doesn't matter how you try to upgrade a lie. Let's say the truth. The reality of what is happening is that this country is not secure. An average man is not safe. That is it.
Well, I hope we make the right changes as soon as possible because honestly, change is very important. And you've spoken well to a very large extent. Like you very rightly said, one, we need to go structurally. Two, we need to look for means to ensure that we ourselves as citizens secure ourselves. And the whole lot has to be, looked into, especially the money spent and all that, because they really spent money. And the money, honestly, to be very sincere, the results are not commensurate with the amount of money spent for insecurities. But once again, thanks so much, Abiodun and Adegbeyeni, for being a part of this discussion. It's right time we go to sports, and from sports, we'll say our goodbyes on this particular segment of Daybreak Africa. So please stay with us, we'll be right back. Alright, welcome back to the show. This is still Daybreak Africa. I hope you're enjoying sports, and it's time to say goodbyes on the show today.
Sport is not for someone like me.
Definitely one day to be for someone like you. Hopefully you want to just try, smell the coffee, just try.
Just swimming, please.
Okay, just swimming. Okay, swimming is okay.
Aside swimming, I pass.
Aside swimming, you pass.
Especially football.
Okay, that's fun to someone.
I don't know what you guys see in football, and it takes a whole lot of your time, and you be like, oh, he's not doing this. It's so funny where you see another Nigerian man claiming a club. That boy is my boy.
Do you know what you just said is sacrilege? You could get shot on the street for saying this.
I myself in the blood.
No, this is sacrilege. You don't make statements like, what do you guys? It is.
Now I'm putting it to you. Just
some people have divorced. No, there's a gratification you receive from football that nothing
can give it.
Aside from the presence of God, can give you that kind of joy. Not even the other side of life can give you that kind of joy. Have your team scored the winning goal the 9 minutes before?
We are not dragging sports here, no problem. I hear you. I'm not accepting, but I hear you.
No, you need to accept that.
I will not.
Okay, fine. But then the discussion today was very, very, very great. Yes. I think to a very large extent, it said a lot of things that, though I'm still saying it, I don't want us all to have guns. It would be nice, but I think to a very large extent, we need to also review a lot of things. For someone like me, when I looked at the amount of money spent on security, I'm beginning to look at it like, maybe to some people in that office, it's more of a business than just a job to secure lives.
I think that is what is playing out, and that is what everybody can see. Sincerely, to be truthful. To be truthful, it's more or less like, okay, let's just tell them this is the amount we are allocating for security, and at the end of the day, we know how we'll dissect. You take the head, let me take the tail and hope.
But to a large extent, like you said, I think it's high time President Bola Tinubu begins to sack people, service chiefs especially, and all that, because the matter is escalating beyond. We can't be spending that level of money and not seeing.
But then the most scary thing out of what our guest said today was the thinking of revolution. It is a lot, to be sincere. Anytime I hear revolution, I'm always very scared.
I'm scared. I'm never scared of revolutions, actually. But the only thing that only scares me about revolution is the fact that many of the time, if we fight, we shouldn't fight senseless. We should fight with a strategy. Because I believe
a common focus.
But I believe currently in Nigeria, the problem is not, like I said, even when we were about to start Daybreak today, I think the problem is not fighting for revolution. I think the problem first is let's attend to ourselves socially. To a very large extent, okay, if someone said something one time that all the people should deal with all the political leaders and elect new people, and I said the new people you want to elect to are criminals. Those that are up there stealing are just
before they got there, we know what they were saying.
We know what they were saying. Today they are there now. What are they saying? It's different from the language they were saying before they were not there. So if we now begin to say we want to now remove those ones, then who do we want to handle that? Is it
we trust?
Especially those ones in NAS and where they got the Student Association. One of them lied recently against the son of the president. Today came out and said the other aspect that it was a lie. We don't even know which one is true or lie again. Have you ever gone to any of their election? That same NAN's body, almost all their elections. At least, it's only maybe the one of last year or thereabout that there was no gunshot. The ones before, if you pass through that area, it's extremely unsafe. I used to be in Analyst in school. I know most of those things that happens in those aspects. So I asked myself the question: are these the ones I want to elect to Nigeria? But then you still,
when they are like this,
then you still more than this one. In fact, they are the biggest of criminals. So to a large extent, I feel it's just a matter of social re-engineering. Let's look at ourselves socially again. if you ask many of these guys, what does success mean to you? What does success in politics mean to you? Let's begin to ask. Because honestly, you will just be recycling thief upon thief. This one go, another thief come in. That one go, another thief comes in.
It's just the way they are stealing that might be different.
That might be different, actually. It's just the sad thing about it. At least in this tenure, we have youths that were part of the ministerial, that have ministerial offices.
You've been shouting not too young to rule.
Not too young to rule.
Then we have them being now.
They are there now. What are they doing? Well, ask the old youths that are holding ministerial positions now. Maybe they are in the Senate, they are whether state or national. What have they done so far? Let's begin to pinpoint it. So I think the Nigerian country is just first a social issue first. Before we now begin to look for revolution, let's attend to ourselves socially. I think the biggest revolution we should look for is a mental revolution. If we start with that, then we can do the physical one actually. So like Bob Marley will say, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, which is very, very important. But then we'll keep discussing, we'll keep trying to do the little we can on Daybreak Africa set until we meet tomorrow again. My name will always remain, because I'm not doing affidavit, my name will remain Ikhonede Joshua Adegbeyeni.
And me who will be doing affidavit? Joshua, I don't know. If you're coming for me, just come straight. But then I remain Afolashayo Hamzat for now. I might change my name tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.
Bye guys.